everybody making time today. As I mentioned, our CFO, Brady Hayden, is with me as well today. And so we'll clip through the deck, I think, with all deliberate speed. And please feel free to interrupt at any time, ask any questions. I would love to make this more interactive than just a lecture. So anyway, CuriosityStream was founded in 2015 by John Hendricks, who founded Discovery Channel and Discovery Communications back in the 80s. He just really has the courage of his convictions around what we call factual content. And so anyway, he'd been working on this for a number of years, launched it commercially in 2015. A lot has happened since then, but just to kind of hit a few of our most recent highlights. Today we've gone from just an idea that he had to controlling over 1 million hours of audio and video content. We have about 20 million retail and wholesale subscribers, more than 20 million retail and wholesale subscribers across 176 countries. In our last earnings report, we announced revenue of $19 million, EBITDA of $3 million, which is dramatically higher than we were negative EBITDA a year ago, negative EBITDA 2 quarters before this, and then it would amount to a 53% year-over-year revenue increase. Got a good, solid team of people, and we're ultra focused right now. Next slide, please. And so, as I mentioned, good Q2 earnings. In light of some of the large agreements that we're working on, it's a little difficult to project quarter to quarter with ultimate precision, but we're getting certainly closer to being able to do that. That'll be a challenge, over the next 6 to 9 months, but it's a very good challenge to have. So, as I mentioned, 53% year-over-year revenue growth. Our content licensing growth was considerable. That's been a little bit lumpy in the past, but that $9.3 million was powered, largely by AI video licensing for training. We continue though to do traditional licensing deals, and as you can see, EBITDA was negative $1 million in Q2, and $3 million in 24, and $3 million positive in 25. Some of that's due to the way that we amortize content. So there are non-cash issues that affect this. It's starting to even out a little bit more now, and so we'll be positive adjusted EBITDA company for a long time. Next slide, please. So our mission is to satisfy the world's curiosity with premium factual content, and increasingly even certain sports and general entertainment content that informs, enchants, and inspires. Slide. Next. So we make money 3 ways. We have a subscription business that includes retail subscriptions. So anybody with a broadband connection can come to curiositystream.com and sign up for CuriosityStream, or for what we call our Smart Bundle, which would enable people to subscribe to 6 services for $9.99 a month or $69.99 a year. Or people can go to the big channel stores that Prime Video offers, that Apple TV offers, that Xfinity offers, Roku, etc. And then we also have wholesale agreements with various partners outside the world. Many of these are outside the U.S., but we have just recently completed some foundational agreements inside the U.S. And that's with companies like Signal in the Philippines, or Truth Plus in the U.S., or Izzy in Latin America. So that's our subscription business. We also have a licensing business that includes traditional licensing of content. We have 2 series running on Netflix right now, which we like because not only are they a good payer, but it exposes Curiosity Stream to just a massive audience. So we'll continue to do that, and then what's driving the majority of our licensing revenue today is content that we are licensing to the hyperscalers and others who are building large language models. And so under key partners, you can just see you'll see a collection of our traditional partners. I mean, it's everybody from Canadian Broadcasting Company to Canal Plus in France to HBO Max, TV1, ZDF, and even Fox Nation. That's just a representative sample. We have probably over 50 partners that we've licensed, or 60 that we've licensed their content to. And then we have a nascent advertising business that's driven largely by third-party platforms. And so what I mean by that is companies like Tubi, like Pluto, Vizio, TCL. So this is nascent. This is a small part of our overall revenue, but it is durable and it is increasing. And we believe that over the next few years, we can make this a meaningful contributor to the overall, to our overall growth and overall revenue. Next slide, please. A few more investment highlights, like what's unique about Curiosity. One is the volume of content that we control. So we control today over 1 million hours of content that we have certain rights to. We don't necessarily have all rights in all perpetuity for over 1 million, but we have the key rights that we need in order to sort of maximize our exploitation here. We have content and data from 250 plus partners. As we are constantly acquiring content for our subscription services, for our AVOD and FAST services, for our pay TV channels, it is not hard to go from doing that to then extending rights from those partners into the AI training space. So we've been successful in doing that. We've also just brought on a lot of new partners purely for that purpose. So that's a quick summary of our controllable rights. And then as far as the global markets go, I'm not a big top-down guy. I'm much more a bottom-up guy. But just to provide a sense of these markets that we're going after, SVOD space, $100 billion plus, advertising, video on demand, $60 billion plus, and then for content licensing, and this number is taken from a very broad swath of licensing, is over $200 billion. And then as you look at our revenue lines, which I just shared, we have a subscription business that's steady growth that will grow at we anticipate mid-single digits over the next several years. And then we have a very high growth business in regard to what we're doing in the AI licensing space. And then recently high growth in the advertising side. Next slide, please. It's just a quick look at thumbnails from some of our content. We have high quality content. We've won a lot of awards. You might recognize David Attenborough, who we have a few series from, and he narrates a number of our titles. He's a representative example of sort of the gravitas of hosts and experts that you'll see across our services. Next slide, please. And just a little deeper look at our content library. It includes original content, obviously includes more licensed content, as there's a lot of content out there to license at really palatable rates if you know where to go. We have well over 250 plus content partners today. We've really put our foot on the gas and working to lock up as much as possible, and we continue to do that. We anticipate that we will double the size of our controllable right in the not too distant future. We have content that's in 13 languages, as we mentioned, for the full category of factual, science, history, nature, technology, crime, lifestyle. But we've also expanded into not only outdoor and combat sports, but for AI licensing purposes, we've actually amassed and aggregated a rather large collection of high quality college sports, football, basketball, soccer, baseball, etc., for which a premium amount of dollars being paid today. And I get asked a lot as it relates to the productivity side of AI, or at least the tools that are available to us. What does that look like for Curiosity? So in our case, there's some marginal improvement on the cost side with customer service, in editing, with sequencing. But big driver for us, what we're looking forward to is when the synthetic dubbing gets a little bit better, and when the pricing drops to the levels where we think it will drop, instead of having content in 13 languages, we could have content overnight in over 100 languages, including tribal languages, as an example. And we know that will have an impact on our overall subscriber growth. Next slide, please. Okay. What this looks at is a subscription video on demand space. And so at our core, we've built a strong subscription business, which is not easy to do. That's the biggest barrier to entry. Anybody can launch a FAST channel or an AVOD product tomorrow, or create a distribution company, but it's very difficult to build a subscription business. And I think as everybody's learned, unless you're Netflix, who has escape velocity, or Amazon, who has a broad variety of other businesses, it's difficult to grow your direct subscribers unless you spend a lot of money on consumer marketing, or you bundle with large partners. So like everybody else, we're pursuing a pretty healthy bundling or wholesale strategy, and we're spending we're pursuing a marketing budget that enables us to grow at what I just described, kind of this mid-single-digit percentage growth for the next several years. As far as our services, I mentioned these before: Curiosity Stream flagship, $4.99 a month; Curiosity University, which we acquired through a tuck-in acquisition a couple of years ago, and which we really expanded on, features over 800 lectures and talks from the 200 best professors from around the country, as rated by Rate My Professor, and then also from subject matter experts. Another service that we haven't talked a lot about, but we believe is a diamond in the rough, is Catholic Stream. Again, through a small tuck-in acquisition, we picked this up, which contains the largest collection of Catholic courses content in any sort of streaming package. So I think we have real upside there. It's very early in building that, but that's $10.99 a month, and it's pretty durable, even though the subscribers are small today. Just as we're doing with Curiosity U, we're beginning to roll that out in more of the big channel stores and packaging it in with certain wholesale partners. We also have the Smart Bundle that includes not just Curiosity Stream and Curiosity U, but services like KidStream and Tastemade, Psalm TV, and basically services that program to factual things like cooking and travel and kids content and food and other sort of content categories that we don't completely cover with Curiosity Stream. So that's a heck of a deal. If you subscribe to all of those, you know, you'd be paying probably 40 to 50 bucks a month. You can get it all from us for $9.99 a month, and we'll continue to add to that. So it's our premium tier. Look, this is kind of a top-down slide that I think you just look at with just kind of knowing that. Again, we're more of a bottom-up focused company, but obviously streaming is a big part of the overall TV and video viewership today. It's a big market, and you know, people are just, you know, increasingly more facile with the subscription services. Next slide, please. So this is a slide that provides some sense of what we're doing in the AI video licensing space. As you might imagine, whenever you're working with companies in this space, the confidentiality around the deals and around, you know, who we're working with is pretty stringent, is really stringent. And so, while we're not allowed to talk about any individual companies, this is a sort of representative sample of players in the space who are licensing content to some degree. And so as if you look at the CapEx that these guys are all committed to, you look at OpenAI's announcement on Friday of, you know, $19 billion going to AI training next year, you can start to back out sort of a TAM for video licensing training in this space. Typically, the way that breaks out is, you know, for the big players, 75% of their overall CapEx budget is going to training. Now, most of that 75% is going to compute and energy. 3 to 5% is going to data licensing, and of that data licensing, you know, somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 to 45% is going to video licensing. So, without being ultra precise, trying to communicate here that the overall TAM for video licensing for AI training is significant and meaningful. And we've been told by a number of partners that we have the best overall corpus in the industry, and I think that's because we have high quality, but we also have the ability now to deliver content quickly, which is important, and we have the ability to structure our data in a way that gives us a significant competitive advantage, meaning we can clip, we can tag, we can index, and we can annotate content at scale in a way that just meets our partners' increasing needs for not only editorial, but how they need it. And so typically, like, as these models can train, typically need more than 7 seconds or more. We're cutting clips, into typically anywhere from 7 seconds to 30-second clips, depending on their needs. And we'll do that from 50,000 hours of content, as an example. So anyway, it gives us an advantage. We're really trying to put our foot on the gas here and create, just as Netflix has in the streaming space, a certain level of escape velocity. Next slide, please. And so just to kind of make it a little clearer, like, we have our own content, our own original content, but what we learned from throwing ourselves into the marketplace is that in order to generate real revenue, you need a lot of content, because the hourly rates for licensing video for AI training, are just a fraction of what you would find in the traditional media licensing space. And so we're playing the role of kind of using our content as the lead for a bigger, broader corpus. And yeah, whereas I think initially when we started, people were a little suspect of sort of brokers or aggregators, and for good reason, because there were a few people that just kind of popped their head up at the beginning who had started off as a technology company and then thought they could kind of transition to essentially trying to aggregate broker content. So we do this as a natural course of our business. We have the overall quality, and we have the reputation and the ability and the track record now makes all of our ongoing deals significantly easier than when we first jumped into the mix. And typically, the biggest providers, they don't want to work with a zillion different partners. They just absolutely won't. We want to work with reputable companies who control a critical volume of content. Typically, that means over 500,000 hours. Next slide, please. Again, this is kind of a top-down slide, but this looks at the AVOD and FAST market. So we're pursuing this kind of slowly. We have a lot of upside here. We would benefit from having another key person or two that was focused only on growing our advertising business. But in light of some of the bigger opportunities and faster opportunities that are in front of us, we've been allocating the majority of our time, energy, and resource toward subscription and licensing. Next slide, please. This is a look at our FAST channels that we currently offer today. So we have Curiosity Now, which is a pure FAST channel. Curiosity Channel is actually a pay TV service that we're paid for around the world in the tradition of the cable business, where we're getting paid a per subscriber fee from cable operators, direct broadcast satellite providers, wireless companies. Curiosity Now, FAST, Curiosity Espanol. We actually have 3 channels in the U.S. Hispanic space. We've since changed Espanol to Curiosity Explora. We have Curiosity Animales, which is just that, animals, and we have Curiosity Automotive, essentially, in the U.S. Hispanic space. And so those 3 channels are not exactly a joint venture, but a partnership with MediaCo, which is the second largest U.S. Hispanic media company. They have radio stations, broadcast stations, and they just have they're really dialed into the U.S. Hispanic media ecosystem. So those 3 channels will make much more working with them, even though we're sharing the revenue, than we would going it alone there. Just since in the last week, we launched Curiosity University Fast, CURI Fast, and our intent is to stand up another 4 channels before the end of this year in the FAST space. Next slide, please. So we talked a little bit about this already, so I won't spend a lot of time here. Good earnings reporting in Q2. We haven't given year-end guidance, but I think if you look at some of our 8K filings, there's sort of some implicit guidance in there. But the good news is we're up and to the right, and on track to have, if not our best, one of our best years ever, and or certainly our best year ever from a cash flow standpoint. Next slide, please. I'll yield to my partner, Brady, but if I could just drive home one thing, that is, we have 0 debt and we have $31 million in cash. I think it's hard to find a company like that. We are paying a dividend. which we have found has brought more people to listen to the Curiosity story. And while we paid the dividend from operations in 24, we will probably not pay all of the outlay in 25 from operations. We may have to dip into our cash reserves a little bit, but our intent is, and our belief is, that we will pay the entire dividend from operations in 2026 and going forward. So, Brady, I'd love to hand it over to you at this point.
Yeah, I'll bring it home, Clint. We've got, as Clint said, we got June 30. We held just under 31 million in cash and investments. And one other point we get asked about is we had some outstanding warrants that were left over from our 2020 D-SPAC. We anticipate those will expire within the next month, and they should expire without any outlay for the company, given the original strike price. Next slide. Here's our reconciliation of net income to adjusted EBITDA for the past 5 quarters. You can see we're trending up into the right there. For Q1 and for Q2 of 2025, we reported our first positive adjusted EBITDA in the company's history, which correlated with our first positive net income both in Q1 and Q2 of this year. Next slide. And here's a breakdown of what our cash and investments look like as of June 30. Like we've said before, just under 31 million in cash. And I'll finish up by saying we are guiding to 15 to 18 million in revenue for Q2 for the full year adjusted EBITDA of 11 to 13 million. I'm sorry, in adjusted free cash flow, 11 to 13 million for full 2020. Clint, anything else?
I think that's great, Brady. I would just, to the extent anyone has any questions, I have been asked too, like, why has the stock dropped since June? And I can assure everybody, it's not for any operational issues. I think, again, I'm a BD ops guy. I'm not a stock market expert. You got plenty of people in the room who are, but our founder chairman sold some shares in the open market in June to help offset some significant debt that he has. That's public information. And I think as a result of that, it spooked some investors. So, stock dropped from $7 down to $4, essentially. Now, to address this and to make sure we put this behind us, we were able to conduct a secondary recently that enabled our founder to pay down some debt in a more significant way, and give him a little bit of give him sufficient breathing room. So his intent going forward is to be just continue to be a cheerleading shareholder, and with his remaining 12 million shares, essentially live off the dividend. Happy to take any questions. Yeah.
Sorry, Clint, what's the cash yield with the dividend and the price right now?
Thanks for asking. It's in the 7% range right now. So I think we're yeah. I don't know what it is today, Brady, if you're looking at it, but
any questions out here, folks?
What's the ticker symbol?
Ticker symbol is CURI. Any questions?
Yeah, 7.24 as of right now.
So I think it's pretty rare to find a growth company who also pays a dividend. But
Yes, it is.
Hi. Did the Discovery Warner Bros. Merger have reverberations with your content?
no, in fact, it's only positive, because if you look at the way that they're allocating their content spend, it's all going, virtually all of it is going to Warner Brothers Studios. I mean, that's kind of in part why they did that, is they want to, it's Warner Brothers Studios and HBO. So if you are a producer producing content for Discovery Channel, TLC, you're looking for new opportunities now. I mean, I have a good friend who went from doing, I think, about $32 million a year with them to zero in just a couple of years. So all that means is that they're living off their existing library, or largely doing a few key additional series or additional seasons of high-performing series, but otherwise all of it's going to the studio. And it's the same with National Geographic, which is owned by Disney. They are putting their resources toward ESPN, toward Disney, and toward the studio. So it's helpful, actually.
Questions?
Any questions? Can you tell us a little bit more about the potential, growth potential and importance of your AI endeavor?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So we started watching all these publishing deals that were getting done at the beginning of last year. Reddit did a $200 million deal, licensor got $60 million a year with Google, with OpenAI. Following that, you saw deals with Condé Nast, The Economist, The Atlantic, AP, Reuters, News Corp. These were all publishing deals, so all text oriented. We knew that there'd be some kind of video market that followed. That's just the history of the media business. And so, we got in early, have really sown a lot of seed and done a lot of dense work. We have a team that gets together every single day at 11 a.m. to go through, what we're doing on the content acquisition side, how our conversations are going with certain certain licensing partners, licensees, essentially. You don't have, anytime you jump into a new business, there's a little bit of choppy water, and there's a little bit of chaos. It's just the nature of it. But thankfully, the water is getting much clearer, and the clouds are clearing as well. So we said at the beginning of the year that we thought we would have a licensing business this year driven by AI largely, that would be close to half of our subscription revenue. We've since amended that to say that we believe it will be more than half of our overall subscription revenue this year. And what I said in the last call is that we're supremely confident that the revenue that we generate from AI training licensing next year will be greater than what we do in 2020, in 2025. And so, our intent is to build a business that has, really three strong revenue lines: subscription, which is extremely durable, grows at, I'd say, mid-single-digit percentages. A licensing business includes AI licensing, includes traditional licensing that grows much faster than that, and then it meets and exceeds eventually, our overall subscription revenue. And then an advertising business that in the next few years gets into 8 digits. So not unlike X, where they talk about subscription revenue, licensing revenue, advertising revenue. That's the type of durable company that we're endeavoring to build.
And get paid 7.24% while you're waiting for this growth. Why these guys are working very hard for you. Well, any final comments, Clint?
I just want to thank everybody for spending time today and taking a look at CURI. And as Robert had said, I believe we're the top performing media stock in 24. We're there in 25, but we have a lot more upside, a lot more growth ahead of us, especially in light of the fact that I think the stock took that correction since June. So I would say a great time to buy. And the other thing I will add is that, we do really work in service of the shareholder, and everything that we do is designed to not add any additional hard costs to the company. And so to the extent that we can do that, like we will and we'll continue to do that, we continue to drive down, at least marginally, our overall cost basis. And, you know, even in the new agreement that I just entered into, the employment agreement, I said at the beginning, like, just don't give me a raise on my base salary. Fix my base salary for the life of the thing, and let's create incentives so that if the company does very well and our shareholders do well, you know, I'll do well and our employees will do well as well.
Thank you very much, Clint. Thanks for joining us. That's Curiosity Stream. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
Appreciate it.
All right, we're going to take 5 minutes to do a technology adjustment.